My grandmother didn't leave behind much. At least, that's what everyone said. No big house, no luxury accounts, no flashy inheritance that made people suddenly respectful. Just a small apartment, a few personal items, and one envelope she handed me 3 weeks before she passed. "Keep this," she said quietly. I remember laughing a little. "Grandma, you don't have to give me anything." She shook her head. "No, this one matters." That was it. No explanation. No dramatic speech. Just that sentence. And the way she looked at me, like she needed me to take it seriously. Your one click can keep these stories alive. Subscribe, because every voice deserves to be heard. Don't miss out on the journey. Subscribe and let's grow, laugh, and learn together. So I did. I kept the envelope. Didn't open it right away. Life got busy. Work. Family. And honestly, I assumed it was something sentimental. A letter. Old photos. Something meaningful, but not urgent. The kind of thing you save for a quiet moment. Then she passed. And suddenly, everything she left behind mattered more. We gathered at my parents' house after the funeral. Tired. Heavy. Polite in that forced way families become when grief and unresolved tension sit in the same room. My sister, Claire, was already going through things. Of course she was. She always moved fast when there was something to claim. "What's this?" she said, pulling papers from a small box. "Probably nothing important," my mom replied. That seemed to be the theme of the day. Nothing important, until it was. I stood near the kitchen counter, holding the envelope Grandma had given me, still sealed, still waiting. Claire glanced at it. "You're not opening that." "I will," I said, "just not here." She rolled her eyes. "Why? It's probably just paperwork." "Maybe, but something about it didn't feel like just." Before I could respond, my dad said, "Let's just sort everything now. No need to drag it out." Of course. Efficiency over meaning. I sighed, then carefully opened the envelope. Inside, a single folded document, old, yellowed slightly at the edges. I unfolded it slowly and frowned because it wasn't a letter. It wasn't photos. It was an insurance policy. My sister laughed immediately. "Oh, my God, seriously?" My mom leaned over. "Let me see." I handed it to her. She scanned it quickly, then shrugged. "This is ancient." My father barely looked. Probably expired. Claire smirked. "Told you. Should have just thrown it away." Something about that irritated me. Not because I knew it was valuable, but because of how quickly they dismissed it. Like everything my grandmother touched needed to be filtered through whether it benefited them immediately. "Maybe we should check first," I said. Claire waved a hand dismissively. "It's paper from like 20 years ago. If it mattered, someone would have said something." Would they? Grandma hadn't. She just told me it mattered. And somehow, that felt more reliable than all of them combined. I reached for the document, but Claire pulled it back. "Relax," she said, laughing. "I'll throw it out with the rest of this junk." She crumpled the envelope slightly as she turned toward the trash. "Claire, I started." "Too late." She tossed it, just like that. One small movement, one careless decision, and something my grandmother had told me mattered was suddenly sitting in a garbage bin between old receipts and paper towels. I stared at it. For a second, no one moved, because in their minds, nothing important had just happened, but something in me didn't agree. Not loudly, not dramatically, just firmly. I stepped forward, reached into the trash, and pulled it back out. Claire groaned. "You're seriously keeping that?" I didn't answer. I just smoothed out the paper carefully, because I didn't know what it was yet. But I knew one thing. If my grandmother had gone out of her way to give it to me, it wasn't something I was going to throw away. And the next morning, I took it to the insurance office, which is where everything changed. The insurance office was quiet, too quiet for a place that supposedly handled nothing important. I walked up to the front desk and slid the policy across. I just need to check if this is still active, I said. The receptionist smiled politely, glanced down, and then paused. That same pause I'd seen before. The kind that doesn't belong to routine paperwork. Just a moment, she said, and stood up. 5 minutes later, she came back with someone else. Not a clerk, not an assistant, a man in a dark suit. Older, sharp. Can you come with me? He asked. No explanation, no hesitation, just direct. I followed him into a private office. He closed the door carefully, then placed the document flat on his desk like it was something fragile. Where did you get this? He asked. My grandmother, I said. She gave it to me before she passed. He nodded slowly, then sat down, opened a file on his computer, typed, stopped, looked at me again. This policy was never closed, he said. I blinked. Okay, so it's still valid. He exhaled slightly. It's more than valid. That didn't help. What does that mean? I asked. He turned the screen slightly toward me. Numbers, details, clauses, too much at once. Then he pointed to one line. Maturity clause, he said. It activates after a specific condition is met. What condition? He held my gaze. The policyholder's passing. My stomach tightened. So now? He nodded once. Yes, now. I swallowed. And what does it pay? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached for the document again, ran his finger along the bottom section, then looked back at me. Your grandmother didn't just keep this active, he said. She kept increasing it. I frowned. Increasing? Quietly, over time, without notifying external parties. Something about that felt intentional, like she didn't want attention, just results. So how much? I asked. This time. He answered. 7 figures. The room went silent, not dramatic, just still, because numbers like that don't feel real when you're not expecting them. That's not possible, I said. It is, he replied calmly, and you're the sole listed beneficiary. Me, not my parents, not my sister. Me. I leaned back slightly, trying to process. She told me it mattered. I said quietly. He nodded. She was right. I let out a slow breath, because suddenly, this wasn't just a forgotten document. It was a decision, a deliberate one. And then he added something that shifted everything again. There's one more thing. I looked up. What? He folded his hands. Due to how this was structured, this doesn't go through standard processing. I frowned, meaning he held my gaze. It requires director-level authorization. Director, not manager, not supervisor, something higher. And judging by the way he was looking at me, this wasn't over yet. The director arrived 10 minutes later. Calm, precise, the kind of person who didn't waste words. He reviewed the policy, then looked at me. Your grandmother structured this to bypass family disputes. He said, it transfers directly to you. No contest. I nodded slowly. So it's mine. Yes. Simple. Final. No room for interpretation. When I got home, Claire was in the kitchen. You actually checked that thing, she laughed. I placed the document on the table. Yeah. She glanced at it, then at me. What does it even pay? A few hundred. I met her eyes. Enough that you shouldn't have thrown it away. Her smile faded. Wait, what? I didn't explain. Didn't need to. Because for once, something valuable hadn't been decided by who grabbed it first. It had been chosen. And my grandmother had been very clear who it was meant for.